Hey, today we're going to be installing the Jetski Buddy GPS system on our Seadoo Spark Trixx. This is a 2018, that's a 2019 model. Important thing to mention, on their website there is a 2019 version of the Jetski Buddy for Seadoos. Make sure if you have a Seadoo Spark not to grab that one. Check your connectors, make sure that you actually confirm with the website pictures which one you need. But for my case, the 2019 model of the Seadoo Spark uses the 2020 until present, or the 2018 model. They're both the same for the connectors. So important notice for the 2019 Seadoo Spark, do grab the 2020 to present one, not the 2019 version of this. But let's get this hooked up, get it connected, and in the next video I will show you guys also exactly all the functions on how this is gonna work. Now, for those of you wondering how easy it is to actually install it, I am quickly gonna show you guys. You find these connectors inside the body. As you guys can see, it's this one. Now, you have the same connectors on this side of the GPS system. You plug this into one end until it clicks. You plug this into the other end. Now this whole system is up and running. After you've plugged them in, you just put your wiring back in there. You strap that in. You hook up your dashboard right there. The dash is now hooked up. And if we give it power, turn it on, you see the lights actually turn on. And that is everything you need to do to get the whole system up and running. But I promised you guys a whole install video. So let's get the top off of the Jetski Spark, remove all of these screws, get access to the engine bay, find a good place to mount this. And I will also show you guys exactly what I plan to do with this dashboard, where I plan on routing the cable to get the best outcome, to keep it nice and clean and have it organized. So let's get the whole top off so we can access the engine bay. Now, to remove these screws on the side here, mine have been over tightened a little bit by the last mechanic. You need a 10mm socket to hold the nut on the bottom in place, and then you can just unscrew. There we go, there's the washer right here, and there's the nut. And then you can just unscrew the screw from the body. Now, as you guys can see, this is the body washer. It's been squished really badly, and you can notice it in here as well. So they have been over tightened, which isn't all too great. So I'll have to get those replaced as well. But let's get all of the rest of them removed and get the top off. So while we are here, this cable is coming from here. So we're gonna have to disconnect this plug as well. So that means this one's all the way loose now. So that can go back inside. And this cable is going to this piece right here. And that piece is being held on by what looks like a 10mm screw. Goes to this piece right here. There's the connector. What I'm gonna try to do is just loosen this nut and unscrew it right here to be able to push this rod out through here, and hopefully I can then remove the cable. Okay, that doesn't work, so we're gonna have to loosen this, the 10mm all the way back here. Okay, so I got the bolt out. And before I take it apart, I am gonna take a look. Okay, right there. Now holding this into place, there's 2 of these little star screws more. With that now out of the way, we should then be able to pull this straight on through. There we go. Here you guys can see it. Now, obviously it's a little tight. I am gonna, for safety purposes, we are gonna lock this back into place. Might have to readjust that, but that's a problem for later. Alright, so let's get this out of that one. There we go. Yep. And now we should be able to lift this right up. Yeah. Is it not lifting? I am quickly gonna get some help. So if your body isn't coming off either, do take the time and remove these 3 screws as well. Otherwise, your body is not gonna want to come off. So to get started, I think I am gonna place my GPS right here. I'm gonna strap it onto the fuel hose that goes into the tank. I am gonna assume that there's not gonna be any signals, any sparks, stuff like that that's gonna make the fuel tank explode. Right here we have the perfect access to plug it straight into the system. It gives us access to plug the top controls back in here. And it should give us access to plug the dashboard in as well. So let's quickly grab some straps, get that mounted, and then we'll figure out where exactly we're going to mount the GPS antenna. And the one thing I'm noticing now from looking at the top here, there is no adjustment of the actual speed. So that's all been set ahead of time already. So, and I'm guessing all of this should be waterproof. So that is also great to see. So we have 2 straps since I am absolutely paranoid and one of them could possibly break and I don't want this thing flopping around. It's just a little bit too much money for me to risk that. So we're gonna strap it in with 2 straps. Now since these are nice and long, hopefully, no, they're not gonna reach. Okay, so what we are gonna do is double them up. And I guess that means I need 4 straps, so I will be right back with another 2. Now with both of these, I am gonna make sure they're nice and tight on both ends. Obviously making sure not to pinch my hose right there. But to do, I will make sure that they doesn't move around. Now it is a little bit pinched, but I don't think that's going to make a huge difference in the flow. Obviously it's a strong hose, so we're going to get this cut off and then we should be good to go. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's done. Now, as mentioned beforehand, this is gonna be plugged right into this one until it clicks, push in that safety pin. Now these 2 are gonna plug into the top half later on again, and this is gonna plug into the dashboard. Now for the GPS antenna, I'm guessing you don't want it near metal, and you probably don't want it to be covered way too thick. So what I'm considering it is putting it somewhere in the front there. But I'm gonna see what the best way is to route it to get it there. What you get to mount it is this little Velcro pad, which sticks to the back of it, which is nice and handy actually. You can take it off whenever you want to without having to take off the sticky side. So with that on there, nice and firm, I debated whether to put it on the side there, but since I'm not quite sure how directional this antenna is, I am gonna put it right up here, just to be on the safe side. Right up here on this side. So steal a little cotton wad from your wife's makeup kit. Use a little bit of alcohol and clean off the area where you are gonna stick it. Now make sure it is nice and clean. Don't touch it with your hands afterwards. After you clean it, make sure not to actually touch it with your hands, because you're gonna get your greasy fingers or the grease from your hands on it again, and it's gonna lose its stickiness. You're gonna let it dry a little bit. Now it is a little tempting to touch it to see if it is dry. I am gonna try it on a different area where I am not gonna actually put the sticky pad. But once you have your area selected, peel off the back of that Velcro. As you can see, it's nice and clean. And stick it down. Now press and hold it for a little bit. There we go. And with that, we should be able to remove the GPS. There we go, GPS antenna removed without ripping off the sticky piece. Make sure to apply a little bit more pressure so that it is nice and stuck on there. You don't want your antenna flopping around. With that done, we can then twist the cable enough that it is gonna stick right where it's supposed to, and then press your GPS into place. The antenna, not your GPS. The GPS is already mounted. And with that, I think we should be good to go. Now I don't like it too much that this cable right here is still be flopping around, but that's gonna have to be okay. I might just try flipping this around a little bit. There we go. No, not quite. There we go. With that, it's nice and in place, and the cable isn't flopping around everywhere. With that, the GPS system is mounted in the Jetski. It is nice and secure. It's not going anywhere. It's plugged in. The GPS antenna is mounted securely on the front there. Now all that's left to do is hook up the dashboard on the steering column. I have to order specific mounts for it because I want the dash sitting in a specific place on that steering column. I haven't ordered it yet, so I can't fully install it, but I can get it most of the way there and strap the last little bit onto the Jetski for now until I have that mount ordered. So let's get started on mounting the dashboard. So to get the dashboard mounted, what we are going to do right there, focus, see right there, there's a little hole which is going to give me access that the cables are going to come down here and go into this grommet and hang with the other stuff, other connectors right down there. Now the challenge is I can't just put the whole connector through here because there is a tiny hole and all of this is in the way. So we are gonna see exactly what I have to do to get all of that out of the way and make enough room so that I can push this connector through that hole right there. And it's me from the future here. Now, obviously, as you guys can see, at this point I had taken apart absolutely everything from the steering column. Now, after doing this a second time, I figured out a way that is so much easier. So I will show you guys on the green Seadoo, on the green Spark, on how to do this properly. I am just gonna skip over this part. We put it all together again, but don't do what I did, take everything apart. It's not completely necessary. Those two bolts that I just bolted in, you just unbolt those and then you should be able to slide it out enough to get your connector through. Now, obviously looking back at the video now, I feel kind of stupid because it was so simple on the other one, but since I didn't know it at the time and I really wanted to figure it out on my own, I took everything apart until I finally got the connector through. So let's get everything mounted back up. And let's also get the top back onto the actual watercraft itself to connect the rest of the cables up and get everything working. And the one thing I noticed now after I started editing, that some of my audio was scrambled up where my microphone had almost died and at some point it cut out completely, so where it had died completely. So we're gonna do this part in a voiceover, but this part is pretty easy. We just screw back all the screws that we unscrewed at the beginning. And the one thing I would suggest is that you do be careful when using the impact like I am. Don't over tighten them, just screw them all the way until they actually sit tight or they touch the base. And then just hand tighten them with a ratchet later on, so you know exactly how tight you make them and that you don't over tighten them as much as the previous mechanic did. And all that's left to do now is to connect all your cables that go from the top body onto your whole circuit system. First, we're gonna connect the dashboard. Now we're gonna find our connector and the body there for the GPS. Make sure that we connect it nice and tight. You screw it on to make it watertight. And with that, the connection from the GPS system to the dashboard is done. We're gonna strap this to the actual steering cable later on just so it doesn't flop around. Next up, there's the other two connectors that still have to be plugged in. One is the main harness connector, and then there's the little other square connector, which I think is power. Might be wrong on that. I will look that up at some other point. So let's just quickly find it in the bottom there, which, you know, wasn't too hard. There's not much light in there, but here we go. And we're just gonna plug this in. With that, everything now is back in order the way it should be, and we're ready to go and test the GPS system out. Now, in this video, like I mentioned beforehand, I still don't have the actual head unit or the dashboard mount, which I wanted to mount on the steering column. So we're just gonna strap it onto the actual handlebars for now, and just make sure that it doesn't flop around while we go out riding. And as you guys can see right here, I gave a nice explanation on the Seadoo running, and also a little bit of an explanation on the tags, but since there's absolutely no audio to this video, there's no point to it. So we're gonna skip this whole video part and we'll get to mounting the GPS system on the green Seadoo. So give me a few seconds, I will switch the two out and we'll get started with the green Trixx. And we're back with Jetski number 2. Now, I probably did a voiceover on the other part, but you probably noticed that I screwed up. My audio transmitter lost its battery, or I guess lost power. I thought I could record up to 6 to 8 hours. Apparently it died beforehand. I'm not exactly sure why. With that being said, let's quickly get this top off, get all of that removed, and then I will show you guys the final part, also with the steering column, the way I did it on the other jet ski, how to remove everything. I'm gonna show you that on this one as well. So let's get this plastic off, take the key out, and let's get all of these little screws loosened up. And we'll be right back. All right, since I didn't do the unboxing on the first one, this is basically how you get the system. You also have a manual in here. So you have the actual dashboard. You have the GPS antenna. You have your keys, nicely packaged in. your two Velcro strips. This is for the dashboard. This is for the GPS that we already installed in the other one. And you have the whole system. Now, this is brand new. This is what it looks like. And that is all you get in the box. The last little piece. And just like the last one, they're gonna put this one on the nozzle or the fuel line. I guess the fuel hose. Not sure exactly what you would call it, but I figured out last time already. Need two straps. Toss this right around. Push this in. And we are good to go. Now, before I do that, I'm gonna put on a second pair just to be on the safe side. Like I mentioned beforehand, I am slightly paranoid that this just might loosen up over time or one of them gives. And I don't want to have to open everything up just to put on another strap. So let's get that right in here. And just like that, both of these are now nice and secure. There we go. This one as well. We're not crushing the hose itself. Gonna cut these off. And for the GPS antenna, we are gonna mount it down here as well. Right through here. Right through there. Now what I did to make it nice and clean, I zip tied it onto this cable right here. A little bit of slack. And then just pushed it right under that strap and these two straps. That gave me enough room for me to be able to mount this right up here. Now, just like in the last video, get your little pad wet, steal it from your girlfriend's makeup bin. Don't tell her though, because she might get upset. Well, if you have an amazing wife like I do, she will probably even help you. But clean off the top end where you're gonna put your GPS antenna. Stick the sticky onto the GPS antenna itself. Remove all the hairs and stuff from it. Let it dry a little bit underneath. And again, once that is done, now some people say, now a video I looked said you had to put this antenna facing up, so you could place it somewhere down here. But I just checked on my other one. It seems to be fine even if it's upside down. If it's not gonna work, I will keep you guys updated in the next video. See if there's anything wrong with putting it upside down. But from my current tests, it seems to be doing just fine, even if you do place it in upside down. Like I said in the last video, apply some pressure. Remove the GPS antenna from the sticky. No, not yet. Apply some more pressure. Let's see. Okay, now this one doesn't want to come off. It seems to be pretty stuck on there. There we go. And just apply a bit more pressure directly on the Velcro pad. And you're good to go. All that's left to do now, install this antenna again. Right there. There we go. That's done. Also, while we're here, cut off this excess cable or cable tie. Just like in the last video, you have your dashboard mount. You have these two connectors. Now you just plug it in until it clicks. Put the safety pin in place. And what I am gonna do, push this underneath here again. Now in the last video, I think it came out from here by the way it felt, but this way at least it's behind there. And with that, we are done on the GPS, the head unit installation. So let's get over to the dashboard, get that fixed up. I'm gonna try to make it a little quicker. I have an idea on how to do it. So let's go check that out. To get started, we are gonna remove this grommet right here, because that is where we have to feed our cable through later on. There we go. Now that that's removed, we have access to the front. Now to get access to the bolts holding the steering column in place, we need to remove the top cover. Now to get this out, we just pull this out. Now last time I cut myself a little bit doing this. It's a little tricky, but with a little playing around, you can just easily slide it out. Now last time I took half of this apart to find out later that, if I'm not mistaken, I can quite simply unscrew those two. I should be able to just lift the whole steering column up. There we go. These two are out of the way. With that done, let's see if I can just simply pull this up. Yep, there we go. Right there. With that, that's all I need to get my little plug through. Right there. No, lift it up a little more. And that cable is in the way. But there we go. And that's done. Line everything back up from where it was in place. Now, if I had a little bit of grease, I would probably clean all of this up once now, since I already have everything out. But since I don't, we are just gonna push this back into place. It's a little tricky to line up. There we go. Once it's lined up, you're good to go. Your cable isn't pinched anywhere. You just do the reverse, just screw these two back into place. And just like that, the whole steering column is back the way it's supposed to be. Now this way was a lot easier than I did yesterday. I made a whole mess right there, but we learned our lesson. I am gonna remove this top cover. We're gonna route the cable through here. I'm gonna strap it to the other cable, and then we are gonna put everything back together. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, because there is two zip ties that are holding this into place. I guess not anymore, but there should be two zip ties holding everything into place. One is right here at the front, and the other one is a little further in. But I am just gonna strap this right onto this one right here. Just like so. That in there. That. And that one. Now let's tie this into the bottom here, right on the mark. Just like that. Push our grommet back through. And we're done. Now make sure you line up these tabs with down here and the one up there. You slide everything in nicely. Check that all the tabs have gone correctly in place. Get that screw started. Now, just like the other one, I'm gonna get a special mounting bracket to put this right here. But until we have that, I need to somehow temporarily get this fixed on here. And I liked what I did with the other one. So we're gonna do the same thing with this one. Strap it on right here. Don't strap it on too tight because there's not a lot of playroom there, but just enough. Oh boy, this one seems to be going. Yeah, this one didn't do as tightly. So that seems to be a bit of an issue, since the cable isn't holding it in place. But this will do fine. I don't think that's gonna go anywhere. Might move around a little bit, but for now that's gonna keep it in place until we get everything ordered to mount this properly. Now we're quickly gonna wash off the back of the black stuff, black plastic as well. So let's get this out again. With the top back on it now, we are quickly gonna bolt everything back on. As you guys saw, we're gonna do the reverse of what we did beforehand when taking them out. Now I did quickly clean up this back part here where the foot pads were sitting. It is pretty scratched up. I don't know how much you saw before, but we're gonna get all the screws back in place and then we should be good to go and hook it up. Now all that's left to do is hook up your dashboard. Now let's see this whole steering column cable. We're gonna move that out of the way. Hook up your dashboard. Make sure that the connection is watertight. Next, we have two more cables. Oh, did I mess up? Okay, this is one. Where is the other cable coming from here? There we go. Got it. Okay, so now one is this cable connected right here. You just plug it in until it clicks. And then the other one, I know we left down here somewhere. There we go. You just plug this one in as well. Slide in that safety pin and you're good to go. Make sure that your cables are nice and tight. Leave back here, just like before. And like I did with the other one, I am gonna strap this one to the steering column right here. And with that, we are done. Just get this back out of the way. Down there. All of these cables, make sure that everything is nicely put away, or at least as good as you can get it, so that nothing gets squished or clamped. There we go. And just like that, GPS number 2 is installed. Let's check it out. It did light up. And the timer feature is now running. If we turn the timer off again, There we go. Everything seems to be working fine. The jet ski is running fine, and that means we are done. GPS number 2 installed. That's it. Both of the jet skis now have the GPS system installed. We have all the tags. The great thing is these tags are interchangeable between both systems. So you basically only need one set of these tags for the fleet that you run. And in my next video, I will show you guys exactly how the system functions, what it does, what it can do, what it can't do. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you guys in my next video.